Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our June 21st Newton County Board of Education meeting. At this time, I would like for everybody to bow your heads and have a moment of silence for the lives that were lost in Orlando. Thank you. We say pledge allegiance to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Fuhrer, we have no special recognitions, nor do we have any public participation. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ms. Coggins, second by Ms. Baker. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the minutes, please.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second by Mr. Bailey. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. Superintendent's report.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have our financial operations report. A few items to bring to your attention. Business and finance, Newton County School System Plus 4 distribution is at $904,000, which is an increase of $66,000 from last month's collection. Property tax revenue collections are 105% collected this year versus 101% collected last year at this time. Expenditures are within budget at 89% of funds expended, with 91% of the year complete. Maintenance and operations, maintenance received 865 work requests in May, with 649 having been completed. There are 216 remaining work orders in progress. School transportation in May, the average cost of diesel fuel was $1.57. Few items with school nutrition. In May, over 111,000 breakfast meals were served, and for lunch, there were 228,000 lunches served. The School Nutrition Department celebrated National School Nutrition Employee Week in May and National School Lunch Hero Day to say thank you to our employees who work hard at providing breakfast, lunch, and snacks to the students of Newton County. Each school staff nominate their hero, and they really showcase those students, so it's a great morale booster for the school nutrition program. On page 2, just so that you're aware, capital projects, Porter Auditorium, the renovation, the project is currently 70% complete, and it is on schedule. Page 3 with paving improvements, been doing a lot of work out there trying to get the parking lots and areas clear for school, and so we have completed a paving improvement at Indian Creek. The entry drive at Clements Middle is also complete, and work has begun at Porterdale Elementary. The last thing I bring to your attention in your folders, you should have the nurse reports, the clinic visits, pretty much for the entire year, and that's there for your information. That concludes the operations report.
Question, please.
Yes, sir.
I see you have diesel fuel, $1.57.
Yes, sir.
I'm a little bit confused. At the pump for the month of May is averaged about $1.07 on the commercial market. So why would I be so far off?
Wow. Okay. If I heard you correctly, Mr. Johnson, you said that it was $1.07.
Oh, right. Plus a take wherever you go.
Okay. I will review that for you, and we will get that information for you.
Appreciate
it. Item B.
Item B, we have the curriculum instruction and program report. Just two things I want to just share with you from the CIT report itself. Again, the book bus just rolled. Provided more than 4,000 books to children, teenagers, and adults. It is infectious, it's contagious. We had Action Ministries out there. We were able to provide meals for families. It was an absolutely wonderful event. Really proud of that. The second thing I want to share with you is on page 2 is item 6. The district PBIS team, they've been meeting. We have 15 PBIS schools right now. The 7 new schools will be recognized as installing schools, and that's because of the work they've done. So again, all of the schools are doing some really exceptional work in our PBIS program. So again, we're just moving forward with that. Those are the 2 items to share with you with CIT. If you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and share the enrollment report with you at this time.
Go ahead, sir.
Enrollment report. This is dated May 24th. This time last year, we had 19,698 students. As of this report, 19,709 students, so that's an overall yearly increase of 11 students. And that concludes the CIT and enrollment reports, but we do have a presentation to share when you're ready to do so.
Go ahead.
Members of the board, community members, many of you are aware that late in November, December, the board supported the notion of trying to find ways to intervene with our youngest students who may need support. And to that end, we have been able to create a program that we call Task Force Uplift. And the task force piece being that we are driven and focused on one singular idea, and Uplift is just that, raising up all of our students together. The purpose of the program, there are 4 interventionists and 1 social worker. An interventionist serves as a person who's an extra set of hands, who actually works with children, teaches them strategies about behavior, teaches them coping skills and other things on the socio-emotional side, and a social worker who also works with them. There were 6 elementary schools that were identified due to various factors, and where we said, okay, we're going to have to try to do something different here if we want to see better results in the middle and the high school. So we're focusing on 6th grade, on 6 targeted elementary schools right now. And again, we focus on improving behaviors, promoting literacy, and addressing at-risk barriers to success. I have to take a moment just to talk about that literacy piece. That is really the key. When you have at-risk barriers that inhibit literacy, and a person goes through life and they're not able to read and comprehend effectively, everything else in that person's life is in jeopardy. So again, we try to focus on those areas. What you see here is a sample student contact log, and the names have been taken out. But what happens is when situations occur where students, they might need a little bit of assistance, you have the interventionists who are there. They'll write down what's happening, what the teacher said has happened in the classroom, and then they go and try and put together some plans to try to help those students, help them cope with whatever the skill deficit may be. Here's a picture of one of our interventionists, Mr. Bird. He's there with the Second Step program. If you look very closely, he has a puppet in his hand. And this Second Step program, it is a behavior, a character education program, highly recognized, highly sought after. We're fortunate enough to have a Second Step program at all 6 of those schools, and the children seem to be responding quite well to it. Again, I have the interventionist here, just in case you have questions after we conclude the PowerPoint. Here's another sample of what we do with the task force. This is an empathy lesson. And again, a lot of small group instruction takes place where children are able to learn and get a little bit more outside of the regular classroom. Some more activities that our interventionists, they participate in, they are anchor activities, they have lunch bunch. There is a mentoring component that's coming in with all of this. And so we're really, really proud of the work that we're seeing with the students on those areas. They also do outreach. They joined us for the book bus. They participate with that, trying to make sure they get out there and actually know the students, know the families and the communities that they serve. And here's where the rubber meets the road. Is it working? What's the evidence of effectiveness? In 5 of the 6 schools, you will see the number of office discipline referrals in a comparison. If you recall, the task force has been in existence from January 16 to June 16. So what we did is we looked at the same time period for last year, from January 2015 up to June 15. You will see in the first 5 schools, the number of referrals decreased in every area. There was an increase in West Newton. I talked to the principal about that. She talked me through it as to what was happening and said, okay, we think it'll change next year, but she talked me through what was happening there. Now, this is not solely due to just the interventionists. These schools are also PBIS schools, and there are a lot of other supports that are there. But it is quite telling. In some cases, you see drastic drops in discipline referrals, and part of that is indeed due to the work that these people are doing at the schools. I surveyed the staff members at all 6 of the schools and tried to get them to tell us what did they think about the program. Approximately 70% of the surveyed educators, and the educators included teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals, just about everybody who works in the school. 70% strongly agree that the task force is making an impact on the school. Of those who did not say that, it pretty much either they didn't take the survey or they did not think that it applied to them. That would be the teacher who never had to interact with the task force because they never had a need to. Got a lot of testimonials, and just pulling out a few things. It just said Fallon is accepting and tolerant and committed to the role of mentoring. And so just different things that just came from different teachers. She's truly been an invaluable resource for us at Flint Hill, and we've been so very lucky to have her here. The students respect her, and I have seen drastic changes in the students that she mentors. Mr. Williams at MRES is worth his weight in gold. I believe he is dedicated to making Middle Ridge successful, and above that, working to make our students to grow to be successful adults. And I mean, it goes on and on. Task force next steps. They already work with our PBIS team, so we're trying to make sure that they learn more, get more involved in the PBIS teams that exist at the 6 schools. We're going to continue the second step program implementation. We just got the program. We're very early in learning how to use it. We're hearing that it's effective, and we'll continue to study that program. They have so many mentoring and peer mediation programs. Every time I turn around, they're creating something new. So again, we'll let them continue that work. And we are also, as you may be aware, getting ready to focus on poverty education in the school system next year. And again, all of the interventionists, they've already received initial Poverty Institute training. So we're going to have them to help as facilitators, to help support and teach our teachers a little bit more about understanding the clientele that we serve. Are there any questions?
I'd like to say, first off, just great work. I mean, this is great to see those kind of numbers and that kind of change. I do have a question about how's this Uplift or this task force update, task force different in scope or form than PBIS?
Very good question. PBIS is a philosophy, and that is a process of rewarding children for good behavior or praising them for that. With the task force, these are actual individuals who are able to go out, provide the extra support. Principals, they get tied up. Assistant principals, they get tied up. The teachers are teaching the classes. The counselor is doing what she can do. And so we need other folks who can come in and just offer that helping hand. More so than anything, the relationships that they build with students, it encourages them to stay focused and to do the right thing.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
You want to go ahead? Or?
Yeah, I have one question. What type of these students that having some issues, is there any discussions with the parents to try to see if they're on board and to make recommendations as things they can do with the child at home while they're away from home?
I can answer that question, but I'm gonna kind of sort of put my people on the spot because they live it, and I think you will want to hear from the people who do. So if anybody would like to step forward to share your experience.
I step forward. For me, for example, the way I did it was I built a relationship with the kids. And what happened was the kid would go home and talk about Coach Bird and the positive relationship they have with Coach Bird. Then I make that phone call, and a phone call from Coach Bird is now positive because they heard positive things about me. So when I'm telling them things about their child, they will take it and they will ask me, what can they do? I can't do anything with him. I can't do anything with him. What do you do? Because he act like an angel around you, so what can I do at home? So I get that all the time, and they're more receptive because he's excited to be in school because of a positive relationship he has with for me, it's a male. And I've noticed that. And I've talked to a lot of single moms that need the help, per se. And so they're more inviting when I call because they need the help, and I have the answers, per se. So that's how it worked for me. I don't know how, so.
Hello. Well, for myself, I went out to do parental visits. I went to do home visits with different students who were on my quote-unquote caseload. And I just made myself available. And I was there for any questions that they had and just offered my support strategies. One parent, for instance, was having an issue with their child wanting to read, and they were struggling, with reading comprehension. So I just offered strategies. They can continue to watch TV and just put the captions on the television for them just to do certain things, just to keep them wanting to read and wanting to be involved in their educational process. So I was just making sure that I was just actively involved in everything that they needed.
Thank you.
And Mr. Lewis, he chose the United States being on this particular topic. I just remember going out to Livingston, and I drove up and I saw Mr. Lewis and the social worker. They were racing to the car. They were going to do a home visit. So they are out meeting the neighbors and meeting the community members all the time.
I have a couple of questions. So first of all, I want to commend the slide that shows the decrease of referrals on the evidence of effectiveness. So I would like to commend you guys on that. Also, adopting or establishing peer programs is evidence-based strategies that peer programs actually work best because peers learn better from peers. They have their, in counseling, what we call aha moments. But I do got a couple of questions. So my first question has to do with, the question was asked about parenting, and then I know the anger strategies was mentioned. Are there any of the intervention specialists that have either evidence-based certifications like an active parenting certification or an anger management certification? If not, are they looking into establishing those things so that they can really craft their skill set with providing evidence-based strategies to help in this program?
Very good question. Just going to the background first of the interventionists. You have special education backgrounds, you have behavioral backgrounds, and then you have some people who just have really, really strong abilities to create relationships. What we did, and they could attest to this, they have had a lot of training. And so the training that they've had thus far includes de-escalation training. So they're working through that, which we call mindset training. And also, you are a facilitator. Okay, a trainer for mindset correction. So we have that. They've also been going through creating some parent modules with our Title I program, with our parental involvement facilitator here. So they are going through a lot of training with that. And so again, as we continue to move forward, we're going to try and make sure that they have all of the skill sets needed in order to deal with every situation that they come to.
Okay, so then I got another question. Because the mindset is more physical component when that child becomes physically behavior, how to de-escalate behavior and put them safely where they're not harming somebody else. So then my question with that is, if they're getting to that point where mindset is needed, which would mean that that child has some physical issues going on as well, then what is the role of the social worker?
The social worker's role, the interventionist, their job is pretty much to identify exactly what's happening with the children as far as, is there a barrier that's preventing their child from learning? Pretty much with like food, if we abuse cases, of course, we have to deal with those. The interventionists are usually the first ones to see that. They connect with the social worker and they get him there plugged in, and he works with our social workers here in the entire district. So we make sure that we try to provide the resources that the students need through that social worker to try to take care of whatever the situation may be.
Okay, so if there's a physical component, my thinking, just having a counseling background, would be that the social worker, more so of an LMSW, would need to be an LCSW, so that crisis intervention and phone calls can be made without having to outsource or go to somebody else. So are we looking at that, looking for an LCSW, someone who's able to do 1013s versus somebody who's able to resource out? Because if we're not, it can kind of defeat the purpose.
To answer your question, that's something that we can look forward to as far as trying to build next steps with the program, and I'll take that in consideration to see what we can do to work on that.
Okay, and then one more question.
That's full.
Sorry. So one more question is resources or relationships. Since we're not able to do that crisis component, I know we have Viewpoint Health, but even they can be overwhelmed. I used to work for Viewpoint Health, so you can't always get somebody. And so they can be overwhelmed. So are there other resources that we're using? Because I find when I go around to school systems and do a presentation on mental health resources, and I talk about places like GCAL, like a lot of school systems do not know about these programs, like the crisis access line that will come out. Are we looking to build relationships with those people so that we won't have to wait on others?
We are building relationships, but in the district, we also have the Project Aware program, where they focus on mental health and mental health support.
But he's at LMSW too.
Right. But again, it's another resource that we do have in the district, and as we continue to grow the program, your suggestion is something that we need to look at and trying to see what we can do in order to fine tune and make the program even stronger.
Because I would like for our school, like if we're really going to do this and make it work, and I'm sorry y'all, this is my baby, but if we're really going to do this and make it work, we need to have the resources inside of the school so that the relationship is built from kindergarten all the way up to senior year versus going with outside people who leave and go from those companies.
Yes, ma'am. Point taken.
Work in progress.
Okay.
Any other question?
Just a comment.
Yes, sir.
You need 5 more people?
Mr. Johnson.
No, I'm serious.
In time.
I had to get that in because I'm just excited about the program, period. But I want to know, how is it mingling with the IEPs? Any association with that, special ed? What we're doing?
Not directly. Their job is to pretty much remove barriers. Now, it could be that there's a learning issue that needs to be brought forth. And again, these people are here, and we have a strong special ed background here. So they're able to lend their expertise and try to support students in those cases as well.
Will that be a referral if they find that one kid may not be in a special ed that need that help?
Yes.
And they're aware that, they make a referral somehow and get that student
They have the ability to do that, but our teaching staff and the rest of the staff, they also do the same thing, but they also have that ability to make those referrals if
Okay,
they need to.
next question.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Well, I'd like to commend you guys for your dedication and commitment and working with these children, because a lot of them need that, and you have great compassion in doing so, and I really commend you guys for that. No other questions or comment? We do not have any old business, Ms. Ferris, so we go to new business. Item A.
All right, let's get started. Item A,
I don't think we
requested
voted
board.
on our superintendent's reports. We need to go back and vote on the superintendent's reports.
Okay.
Need a motion?
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I need a motion to approve, please.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Baker, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item A.
Item A, one more, Mr. Chair, okay. This is the adoption of the FY 2017 budget. The superintendent recommends the approval of the 2017 budget for all governmental funds as approved in the tentative budget last month, attached to the final budget in the format required for approval. And again, this is the budget that includes all of our various funds. Expenditures in this budget are increased by 2.21% from FY 2016, mainly due to a 1% permanent pay raise to all employees and an increase in health insurance costs. In summation, again, because we've had the budget presentations and the questions, we appreciate all the hard work of the board in working through this budget process, taking the time to study the budget and providing valuable input. Again, every item here this evening is up for action, and Mr. Chair, board members, if you want to take action, I didn't know, if your pleasure is to take action after each one, then we can take it at that point. So it's here for action if you would like to do so.
Okay, question to the board, are there any items here that you feel we need to discuss separately?
Yes, item 1.
Okay, item 1, okay, go ahead, I need a
No,
motion.
just vote on it singly.
Right, that's what I'm fixing to do. Okay, item A, I need a motion to approve item A.
So move.
Have a motion by Ms. Baker, second by Ms. Coggins, all in favor. Okay, have a motion, we have a second, ready for discussion. Ms. Johnson, you said you had?
No, he just wanted you to vote one at a time, right?
On this right.
Just
Okay,
one,
okay.
first one.
No discussion, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same, motion
Aye.
carried. Okay, we have 4 yeas, 1 nay. Okay, item B.
Item B, renewal of property and liability insurance coverage. The superintendent recommends the renewal of property and liability insurance coverage provided by the Georgia School Board Association Risk Management Fund. The effective date will be July 1st and the expiration date will be June 30th. Again, this is something that we do each year. We are a member system with the GSBA Risk Management Fund. The total cost is, the coverage is $618,000. The cost will be paid with budgeted FY17 general funds.
Haven't heard the information, I need a motion to accept item B.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Baker, questions? Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, same, motion carries. Item C.
Item C, contractual agreements with Go Solutions Group. Superintendent recommends the approval of the attached service agreement between Newton County School System and Go Solutions Group for Medicaid billing and administrative outreach services. This includes billing for students who receive speech language therapy, and this is an agreement for 1 year starting July 1 until June 30th, 2017.
Got any motion to approve item C?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Coggins, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson, any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same, motion carried. Item D.
Item D, contractual agreement for sign language interpreter. The superintendent recommends the approval of the attached agreement between the school system and Celio Best for sign language interpreter services to students with disabilities in accordance with their individualized education programs for the 2016-17 school year.
Okay, I need a motion to approve item D.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bailey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Baker. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item F,
Item E.
I'm sorry, E.
Renewal of contracts for school nutrition program. Superintendent recommends the annual renewable contracts awarded to the following vendors be renewed for an additional contract term. The effective date of the renewals will be June 25th, 2016, and expiration date will be June 24th, 2017. The contract term for beverages will run from July 1st, 2016, June 30th, 2017. And the companies that are up for renewal are Southeastern Paper Group, Paper and Cleaning Supplies, Mayfield Dairy Farms, Milk, Royal Foods, Produce and Fresh Eggs, U.S. Food Service, Food Items, Coca-Cola Refreshments, Beverages.
Okay, I need a motion to approve item E.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Coggins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bailey. Any questions, discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Item F.
Item F, purchase of ice cream for the school nutrition program. Superintendent recommends the ice cream and related products needed for the school nutrition program be purchased from Mayfield Dairy Farms of Athens, Tennessee. Again, this is a renewal.
Need a motion to approve item F.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Baker. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item G.
Item G, contract for safety and sanitation program. The superintendent recommends the annual renewable contract for a safety and sanitation program be awarded to Sanitec Systems of Lakeland, Florida. The effective date will be June 25th, and the expiration date will be June 24th of 2017. The estimated contract value is close to $42,000. This cost will be paid for with budgeted FY17 SNP funds.
Need a motion to approve item G.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Coggins. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item H.
Item H, renewal of contracts for the facilities department. Superintendent recommends the annual renewable contracts award to the following vendors be renewed for an additional contract term. This is effective July 1, expiration date of next year, June 30th. Those two companies are Waste Management, who take care of waste disposal and recycling, and the Banner Security System, maintenance of intrusion detection system, and of course, this is budgeted with FY17 general funds.
Need a motion to approve item H.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bailey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Baker. Any questions or discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item I.
Item I, usage of parking lot at Sharp Stadium. The superintendent recommends the approval of the use of the parking lot at Sharp Stadium by Piedmont Newton Hospital for overflow parking. Now, I need to give you some background on that. Piedmont Newton Hospital has requested to use the parking lot adjacent to Sharp Stadium for overflow parking for training and technical support for staff. The parking lot will be utilized from June 20th through July 14th. There will be no facility fee for this usage, and attached documentation is on file and available for review.
Have a motion to approve item I.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Coggins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Baker. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item J.
Item J, purchase of service truck. Superintendent recommends service truck needed for the Pupil Transportation Department be purchased from Ginn Motor Company of Covington, Georgia. This is standard practice. The previous truck is pretty much out of commission, so it's time to get a new truck. The total price for the vehicle is $29,622. This cost will be paid for with budgeted FY16 general funds.
Can I get a motion to approve item J?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Becker, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Coggins. Any discussion, questions? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item K.
Item K, renewal of contract for pupil transportation management software. Superintendent recommends the annual renewable contract with Tyler Technologies of Plano, Texas for transportation management software. Need to be renewed for the school system. Again, effective date July 1st, expiration date next June 30th. This helps out with a lot of different programs such as routing and planning, Fleet Vision, E-Link, Trip Tracker, Incident Management, On-Screen, My Stop, and a host of others. Again, this will be paid for with budgeted FY17 general funds.
Can I get a motion to approve item K?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Baker, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Coggins. Any questions? Or
Yes, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
This portion of the budget, we've requested this for 3 years in a row. And last year, I did the best I could, and I asked for an explanation, one simple question. What improvements have been made as a result of the $140,000 that was spent up to that point? And today, I noticed that it's $85,000 is in the original budget, but now it's going up to $86,000. So I'm saying, what is the value that we're paying for?
Mr. Moore.
All right, I can speak to that a little bit. The routing and planning software, do you want to go through them individually? Is that the question?
I'm asking, what are we purchasing
Okay.
for this almost $2.25 million? What service are we getting?
Okay. So it's an annual service fee for the software that we purchase to basically run transportation. The first item there is routing and planning, and that's what we use to plan all the routes for the school system, which is consistent with what every school district does. It allows us to really efficiently route our school buses. Secondly, Fleet Vision is the program that we use to monitor expenses on school buses to make sure that we know what we've spent on each bus, so that we can make some judgments about which buses need to be replaced and the total cost of ownership for buses. Also, we use that information to make decisions about what types of buses, what manufacturer of bus we need to look at. E-Link provides parents with information about bus stops so that it's online. We're required to do that. So it's a very useful tool. Trip Tracker is our field trip management online process where schools can request field trips and we assign those electronically. Incident management is for anything from where a parent calls in that a bus stop has been missed. Any incident that happens in transportation is electronically tracked and managed, and that way we can look at that data for improvement. Where we're having continual issues, we can look at that. It tells us that, so that we can always be looking at improvement. Just moving down the line, My Stop is one that we piloted this year, and we will be, it's had very positive results. It's where parents can see the school bus, know what time the school bus will be arriving at their stop. So that's been very beneficial to us and has cut down on calls from parents. Finally, District Pulse, that's really a data warehouse where we pull together and are able to look at information relative to key performance indicators for the school system in transportation. What is our own time delivery, those kinds of things that are very important to us and important to parents and students in school. So is that successful? So
Not really. I asked for the improvements. What improvements have you made?
Okay. So My Stop is a very important one for us in that we're communicating to parents when buses will be arriving at their bus stop, making sure that kids are there. It's also a safety issue, so that we want kids to be there 5 minutes early and not standing out there too long, not standing out too long in the cold, those kinds of things. So that would be certainly an example of an improvement. Routing efficiencies, looking at the time the driver is actually spending on the routes. We can see that real time, make sure that we're fairly paying bus drivers. So those are examples of improvements that are ongoing as it relates to the software.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or discussions? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same. Item L.
Item L, surplus property. Superintendent recommends the attached items be declared surplus and disposed of per board policy BO.
Get a motion to approve item L.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Coggins, second by Ms. Baker. Any discussion or questions? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Item M.
Item M, renewal of contract for learning management system. Superintendent recommends the annual renewable contract for an online learning management system be awarded Instructure of Salt Lake City, Utah, be renewed for an additional contract term. Effective date July 1, expiration date June 30 next year. This is our Canvas program. It replaced our My Big Campus program a year or so ago. Estimated contract cost $77,000. The cost will be paid for with budgeted FY17 general funds.
Can I get a motion to approve item M?
So move.
Motion by Ms. Baker, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussions or questions?
I have one quick question.
Sure, yeah.
Does Canvas, I know it's replacing My Big Campus, but is our contract with My Big Campus completed?
Yes, My Big Campus is no longer in business with
Okay.
us, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item N.
Item N, E-rate funded technology infrastructure projects. The superintendent recommends the E-rate funded technology infrastructure needed for the school system be purchased from Infinity Network Solutions of Macon. A little bit of background. Annually, the school system issues solicitations for telecommunications, internet access, and internal connections as part of the E-rate process. This is part of our annual bid. The total cost for the projects will be about $2.2 million, of which 1.6 will be paid by E-rate funds, and the cost will be paid for, the balance for the school system is about $655,000. That cost will be paid for with budgeted FY17 capital funds, and there's additional documentation available for review if you would like to see.
I need a motion to approve item N.
So move.
Motion by Ms. Baker, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bailey. Any questions or?
Yes, will this complete our restructuring, our cabling for the school system? Or we have remaining schools to go?
We are going at. Okay. Well, that's it.
Any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item O.
Item O, renewal of contract for online professional learning software solution. Superintendent recommends the annual renewable contract for an online professional learning software solution award to School Improvement Network of Midvale, Utah. Renewed for an additional contract term of 1 year. This is our Innovate product, that we use for job-embedded professional learning, as well as teaching. Most videos include lesson plans and study guides, as well as the ability to do walkthroughs. This is a single sole source purchase, meaning there's nobody quite like that for us. And the total estimated contract value is about $88,000. This cost will be paid for with federal Title IIA funds.
I need a motion to approve item O.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Johnson. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Coggins. All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item P.
Item P, contractual agreement with Flexible Creativity. Superintendent recommends the approval of the attached contract with Flexible Creativity for 15 days of professional learning. The district and individual schools have utilized the services provided by Flexible Creativity to support the district's non-negotiable goals of increased student achievement and more effective teaching. Total amount of the contract $56,000 plus travel expenses and additional documentation is on file and available for review.
I need a motion to approve item P.
So moved.
Motion approved by motion by Ms. Coggins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Q.
Item Q, purchase of world language textbooks. The superintendent recommended the purchase of secondary world language textbooks for Spanish, French, Latin, and German in the middle and high schools. The total expenditure for all the textbooks is $166,000, which is to be paid through carryover FY16 funds. And just as a textbook adoption that we need to take care of.
Okay, I need a motion to approve item Q.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Coggins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson.
I have discussion.
Go ahead.
Just one question. How long will these textbooks stay in the school system before we?
7 years.
We adopt our textbooks based upon the state's adoption cycle. Currently, this is the first time that we have adopted textbooks in 4 years because the state has put the adoption cycle on hold.
Mm-hmm.
It is normally anywhere between 7 to 8 years. This is 13 years that we've had the current world language textbooks. We do it that way because otherwise we have to go out on our own and purchase these textbooks, and we would not be able to afford to do so. The state does a giant contract where we can get discounts on the textbooks. So it really is dependent upon the state's adoption cycle.
Okay, so at least 7 years as of right now.
At least. Yes,
At
ma'am.
least 7 years.
And I can tell you
But
they
the
already-
online component would be renewed yearly,
Right.
as of right now.
As of right now.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And just so you know, they have put it on pause already for next year.
Okay,
So
okay.
we don't really have any way of knowing.
But it's been a while.
It's been a long while.
Okay. Thank you.
We used to,
Got a question.
We used to get textbooks. I mean, it was on a system.
Yeah.
All that's been changed.
Yeah, I haven't seen world language since I've been here.
It
so
has
I
an
had a question.
online capability. Would that be a repeated annual cost for that, or just a one-time charge?
It will be.
Which one?
And the online component for all of the textbooks that we looked at, any of them, the online component part is a renewal fee. So while all of them have the online component, we will have to pay a renewal fee if we choose to renew the online component.
Any reason why we wouldn't carry that?
No.
Any idea then what that fee would be?
No, yeah.
It's hefty. You know, some of the textbooks, like the Latin textbook, it's like $5 per student. So it really just depends on how many kids are enrolled. Unlike some of the software that we get where if we buy 500 licenses and we can use those licenses anytime during the day as long as 500 kids are not using it at once, these are per student, so they belong to the student once we get them. So it would really just depend on the availability of the funds. And I would also say, you know, if we find that the students are not using it as much, we would want to consider, you know, maybe if the German students don't like the online component as much as the Latin kids, we may want to use that. But Mr. Johnson, also, just so you know, the teachers are using Canvas to be able to upload some of the resources from the Georgia Department of Education so that they're still having an online component even if they're not using the online textbook all the time.
They still can go through and get it, okay,
Absolutely.
okay.
Mrs. Buff, I got one question. I'm sorry, with you saying that. So is there a minimum amount that it will require us to order online, or are we able to do it by student if we were to do online
We can
yearly?
do it by student.
Okay.
Most of the books, right now, we bought class sets, so the cost that we have now is based upon a class set per teacher, so one teacher would get 40 books.
Okay.
So the price will go up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
Just another comment. I see this is coming out of 16 budget,
Textbook
textbook.
budget.
It says carryover from 16.
I can explain that. So when we got the order together, the textbook companies let us know that these books would not be delivered before July 1st. And so the money that we had budgeted is actually going to be carried over to be able to make sure that when we get those books after July 1st, that we didn't have to put money in next year's budget.
Do we have any other funds carried over?
Just your eddy fund balance, that's all.
Okay.
That's it. This was a special circumstance based upon the deadline to receive the materials. We didn't have much of a choice but to carry it over.
No problem.
Yeah. But no.
Any other questions? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. R,
Item R, contractual agreement with Communication Across Barriers. Superintendent recommends the approval of professional learning services to be provided by Communication Across Barriers. This is the poverty education that was referred to earlier, and the total cost is $28,000 plus travel expenses for the consultant, and additional documentation is on file and available for review.
I need a motion to approve item R.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Ms. Coggins, second. Second by Ms. Baker. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item S,
Item S, that is request the board action relative to resolution to oppose Governor's Opportunity School District. Resolution, November 17, 2015. The Newton County School System Board of Education approved its 2015-16 legislative priorities, which includes protecting the authority of local boards of education. The following is extracted from the posted legislative priorities document. Local board authority. The board supports the authority of local boards of education to manage and control the operation of the local public schools, opposing any legislation that attempts to override the constitutional authority of locally elected boards to make educational decisions for their communities. Therefore, we view with concern any legislative initiatives which would result in or have the effect of limiting the authority or the revenue generating potential of local school systems. Whereas in November 2016, a constitutional amendment will be included on the ballot, and that if approved, would give the state authority to take control from certain Georgia schools and create a state-run school district. And whereas, if approved, local control will be eliminated, and schools that have been determined as failing by the state may be placed into an opportunity school district. And whereas, if approved, the administration of schools placed in the opportunity school district would be overseen by a state-appointed superintendent to be confirmed by the Senate with authority to waive state Board of Education rules, regulations, policies, procedures, or provisions. And whereas, if approved, facilities of qualifying schools shall come under the control of the Opportunity School District, where the Opportunity School District Superintendent may repurpose the facility for use by an education service provider. And whereas, if approved, an opportunity school may be subject to any of the following intervention models as determined by the Opportunity School District Superintendent. 1, direct management of the Opportunity School by the Opportunity School District. 2, shared governance of the Opportunity School by the Opportunity School District and the local Board of Education pursuant to a contract in which the local Board of Education operates the school, and the Opportunity School District Superintendent has the authority to direct changes to be made at the school. 3, reconstitution of the school as an Opportunity School District charter school in which the Opportunity School District works in collaboration with the State Charter Schools Commission to build capacity of petitioning governing boards and charter school applications to establish a charter that will be approved by the State Charter Schools Commission. Or 4, closure of an opportunity school which is not enrolled at full capacity and reassigning the students to a non-qualifying school within the local school system. School closure shall be the intervention of last resort. And whereas, if approved, The total allotment of state and federal funds to the local school system in which an opportunity school is located shall be calculated as otherwise provided in Article 6 of Chapter 2 of this title, with an ensuing reduction equivalent to the amount of funds appropriated to the opportunity schools. And whereas taking away local control, diminishing resources, and making efforts to shift the governance of local schools will do just the opposite for the successful outcomes of Newton County students and will not result in the needed infusion of state resources for the full support of local educational agencies. And whereas ensuring real opportunity for every student means providing struggling schools with resources that attract the best faculty and staff, improved access to health and social services, and enhanced supports for academic enrichment opportunities. Thus, be it resolved that the Newton County Board of Education opposes the creation of a state-run school district, otherwise known as the Opportunity School District, and that we shall strive to fully educate our community about the issues raised by this proposed amendment.
I need a motion to, the resolution to oppose the governor's Opportunity School District.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Ms., I need a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Baker. Any discussions,
I have
questions?
discussion. So the discussion I have is, I just would like to, and Dr. Lockhart, this was so eloquently read, thank you. But I would like to take the opportunity to kind of break it down because we talk about keeping things simple. And so we have two parents plus our newspaper, who is a parent as well, in the building, and then those that will watch us via YouTube and stuff like that, because sometimes when we talk about the language on the ballots, makes it so confusing for community members and stakeholders. And so I would like to simplify our so eloquently written statement here by saying what this says is that the Opportunity School District, if that passes on the November ballot, whereas I, as a local board member, live here in Newton County, have kids that attend the Newton County school system. I shop at the Kroger, the Walmart. You can find me at the Chick-fil-A or the Dunkin' Donuts with my daily coffee. You may have a board member that lives in the city of Savannah if this goes through. Someone who has never stepped foot in Newton County, someone who does not know the demographics or the makeup. You could have somebody in Valdosta, somebody that you cannot easily contact or can get to you right away. So that's one thing that this says if it goes through. So I want people to really understand what it says. But also there's another component that if we were to have a school that followed under the OSD model, and the governor was to take that, and you did have a board member in Valdosta and Savannah or Rome or wherever, then they don't necessarily have to take the teachers that's inside of that school or the staff that may be your family members working for us. And then we may have to find places for them to go. Well, if we have to find places for them to go, that may mean that we have to lay off some of the family members in the community, and we are the largest employer of Newton County, and so we may have to lay off people because now we have to find somewhere for these people to go. So I just kind of want to simplify because we talk about the verbiage being so confusing. So just to make it simple.
Anybody else? Well, I have one, just I guess, a concern, and more so why not provide us with the necessary funds and equipment that we need? Because if we're not doing the things that we need to do here locally, then they're going to come in and they're probably going to have additional monies to do things with, to improve things. So my problem with this is, why don't the state give local boards the finances to be able to do the things that they're saying that they can do? And my second concern is, what if they come into your school district and they say they do take your school off or over? What if they're not successful? What are they going to do then? So there's a number of things, in my opinion, that has not been really thought out, and I think it should have been a lot more input from local teachers and parents in the communities to try to come up with workable solutions to address these concerns. That's just my take on it, my personal take.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to also point out that the State Department of Education already has the ability to do this same sort of thing. So this is just another way of government expanding and opening up another program, spending funds, taxpayer money to develop this program, and when they've already got a system in place that they just don't use. And from my understanding, like I said, the State Department of Education has the ability to do this right now, go in and help fix schools, but they're not doing it.
And I think you bring up a very interesting point, is the fact that we submit all these test scores to the state, so they have prior information as to how schools are performing. So if they see these issues here, they should go ahead and say, okay, these are schools that we need to jump in and provide additional funds, because all the time it's not a thing of being equal. It has to be equitable according to where your needs are, so they can identify these schools and be able to give funds there, and they wouldn't even have to get involved and let the schools run the schools. That's just what I think.
Well, we got a nice little segue into testing next, so.
Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item T.
Madam Chair.
I'll take item T. I am seeking the board's approval to send a letter to State Superintendent Woods regarding our most recent administration of the milestones assessments at the end of the school year. And if I may, I'll just read it so that it's public record. Dear Superintendent Woods, thank you for your service to the children and families of Georgia. Your commitment to reducing the number of tests administered to our students is commendable. I'd like to thank and recognize the hard work and dedication of the Georgia Department of Education staff who've worked diligently to manage the mammoth testing and evaluation work. Until recently, I've been able to work through the issues that we have experienced in both areas. The 2016 testing cycle was very different for the Newton County school system. We are accustomed to a smooth operation during state testing. To say the 2016 testing administration was tumultuous would be an understatement. We experienced a myriad of technological issues during the administration of grades 3, 5, and 8 Georgia Milestones end of grade assessments. The testing environment under a normal paper and pencil administration would have resulted in a multitude of irregularities, possibly rendering an invalidation of results. Despite the numerous testing challenges, we plugged along, encouraging our students and teachers to remain upbeat and optimistic. Unfortunately, our optimism didn't eliminate the suffering of our students. They cried, they had anxiety attacks, they gave up, some even vomited during the testing administration. While I don't wish to assign blame, I must say that in almost every case, the issues our students experienced were linked to areas beyond the control of the school system. In spite of the technology troubles, we were hopeful to be able to administer retests to students who qualified. Regrettably, those hopes were dashed when we learned we wouldn't receive all of the students' results in enough time to remediate and retest before the last day of school. It is important to note that we intentionally selected an online administration for students in grades 3, 5, and 8 so that we would receive the results quickly, thereby enabling a retest administration prior to the end of the school year. It came as a relief when the state waived the promotion retention requirements as well as the portion of the TKES and LKES, which is the teacher and leader evaluation system, that currently gives life to 50% and 70% respectively of an individual's evaluation. I thank you for recognizing the struggles of the students throughout the state. It most definitely would not be fair to hold students, teachers, and leaders accountable for the resulting data. As such, it is not clear how these very same results can then be used to hold school systems accountable. The use of this data will be misleading and confusing given the technological missteps experienced by students in the Newton County school system. The Newton County Board of Education and I believe that issuing college and career-ready performance index scores based upon results to be determined to be insufficient for student promotion and retention and teacher and leader effectiveness is disingenuous at best. Therefore, we respectfully request that the State Board of Education waive the use of the Georgia Milestones end-of-grade test results and the 2016 CCRPI scoring for the Newton County school system in grades 3 through 8, which is consistent with the actions already taken by the State Board of Education. We appreciate your time and consideration and look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Ms. Ferry. Need a motion, please, for item T.
So move. Second.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Ms. Baker. Any questions?
No questions, just my discussion. I completely agree. You can't, if you're gonna say it doesn't count for two other things, why would it count for one? That's unfair. Just point blank.
Any other discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Before you do, may I say one other thing, just to link this to the Opportunity School District? The inconsistency with the reporting of CCRPI. The CCRPI was conceived in 2012, and since 2012, it has yet to be the same. The indicators change, the percentages of weights for different items change. Some items were there that are no longer there. And so in connection with the Opportunity School District, it's important to point out that the CCRPI document in and of itself is not reliable nor valid to determine whether or not the schools in our community are failing or not. As you can see just from our recent experience with the administration of the Milestones assessment system, if the results are included in our CCRPI, we will be compared to districts that had the opportunity to retest, and we just simply did not have that opportunity. So the whole model in and of itself is a bit of a challenge, and somebody needs to pay close attention to both the instrument we're using to label schools and the constitutional amendment that will appear before the voters. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, you have a question? Okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item U.
Item U. Request board action relative to superintendent's recommendation in executive session. Superintendent recommends that the board approve personnel recommendations made during executive session.
Need a motion to approve item U.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Coggins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Baker. Any questions? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
abstain.
Any other matters of interest? Right. Anybody
Yeah,
have any others?
I got one. It's unfortunate, I read in the newspaper that Newton County football team and Alcoba football team will not be competing this football season. I'm disappointed I had to find it in the paper, but can someone give me the reasons why this was changed, and so that we can publish this and let the parents know, and at the same time provide some reasonable commitment as to when can we restore the competitiveness in our school system?
Mr. Johnson, I will look into that information for you, and we will get that message out as soon as we can to you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other matters of interest? If having none, I'd like a motion to go back into the executive session.
So, motion?
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Johnson. I have a second.
Second.
Second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
We're going back into executive session. Thank you.
I was going to answer that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was a Georgia High School Association thing because of the changing of the regions. And so they chose who was playing who. I think I read that in the AJC because, you know, they're moving up to 7A. Then I'll get out.
excited.
What'd you say? Did Jane leave? Did who? Jane. I don't know. I went to the bathroom and came back and the whole room was clear. Are you staying? Yeah, I'm staying.
we need everybody.
We need everybody, yeah.
We need everybody. Yeah, we need everybody, because the close of the week has to be on there.
The camera hadn't been, oh, I just was saying, the camera hadn't been running all that time, man.
So I think we got the motion to go out of executive session, then we got a adjourn. We have to have two, don't we?
To come out of executive session.
And then we got to adjourn too, don't we?
Because we didn't make a motion come out.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn out of executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Baker, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same. Now I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Baker, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bailey, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carried. We stand adjourned.